The biggest Ray-Ban Meta update ever just came out, and this changes things in the Vanguards, the Ray-Ban Meta Gen 2s, and the Ray-Ban Meta Gen 1. Now, if you have Meta glasses, you're probably really confused as to what feature this adds to which pair of glasses, because this 19.2 update says it only adds 2 things that the glasses already had, when in reality, it adds a ton of new features to all 3 of these pairs of glasses, and depending on which glasses you have, it actually adds different things. But first, if you appreciate me doing all of the testing and research, going through the app to figure out what actual things this 19.2 update really added for each pair of glasses, all I ask is that you subscribe, because you're not going to find this information anywhere else. So one big surprise about this update is it actually includes a lot of features that we previously thought were only for the Vanguards, both to the Gen 2s, but also to the much older Gen 1. I mean, these glasses came out in September of 2023, more than 2 years ago, and they are still updating them strong. So what is the first thing that this update brings to all 3 of these pairs of glasses? That is going to be 1080 60 FPS video. So if you open your Meta AI app, go to the Glasses tab, and tap on any of your glasses. You see you have the Vanguards, the Gen 2s, and the Gen 1s. I'll prove it to you. I'll click on the Gen 1s. Then if you go down and tap on Media right here in the middle, and then tap on Video Settings, the second one, and finally tap on Full HD 1080 30 FPS, you will now see there's a new mode, high frame rate 1080 at 60 FPS. The reason this is great at is because my glasses are turned off right now. I'll show you some footage right here. This is what the 1080p 60 FPS looks like. Honestly, really good slow motion, and a much needed upgrade for even these really old Gen 1s. Love to see that they're still adding stuff to these. The next huge video feature they added is an upgrade to 5 minutes of recording time while recording at 1080 30 on the Gen 2s and the Vanguards. So the Gen 1s don't get this update. Little sad. So if you want to record up to 5 minutes, the Gen 2s and the Vanguards right now are your only options as far as Meta glasses are concerned. Now 5 minutes is like almost double of the previous recording limit, which was 3 minutes. Unfortunately, at 1080 60 and at 3K 30 for both of those new glasses, they're still capped at 3 minutes total. So 5 minutes is only for 1080 30, but that's still a really nice improvement if you want to record long bouts of footage. The next big feature they added is capture enhancements to all models. So all 3 of those glasses. So I'm in the glasses tab here for Gen 1s. I'm showing you this because it's the base model. So it's here, and I already checked the newer ones, so we already know it's there, but I want to show you that this is indeed on the older ones too. So if you tap on Media and then scroll to the bottom, you'll see capture enhancements. If you tap on that, you have 2 new settings. You have auto level and you have media quality. If you turn auto level on, it'll automatically frame your captures for best quality. So say the glasses are like tilted to the side or something, it'll re-level it so it's totally like flush with the ground. Next is media quality. This automatically crops captures that might have your hair hanging down or maybe part of your hat, which often happens with mine in the past. So now the frame will automatically crop that out so that you don't have to do that in post, which is really nice. The next big feature they've added to all 3 of those glasses is the ability to customize video stabilization. Now, as of right now, this is only available at 1080 30 for some reason, although I personally believe you should be able to go to low because that does give you the widest field of view. So I'll go to my Gen 1s here again, tap on that, and then scroll down to Media. You might be seeing a trend. Tap on it, and then Video Settings. And down at the bottom, you'll see Video Stabilization. There are 4 different options here. Auto Select, which automatically selects based on what it thinks you need for stabilization. So if you're like dirt biking down a really rocky surface and the camera's going everywhere, it's probably going to apply high stabilization. If you're just going on a really chill walk or you're barely moving, it's probably going to do low stabilization. Then you can set it to low, which is like barely any stabilization, but still enough to look good. Then medium, which is a good amount of stabilization. You can notice the jitters in the corners and on the lettering in background, but it's still pretty good. And then there's high stabilization, which is extremely stable, but it makes those jitter shake corrections look kind of ugly to look at, so I wouldn't super recommend that. Also, with each incremental stabilization level, it crops in more. So if you do low stabilization, you're going to get the widest field of view. So that's what I'm going to set it on probably 99% of the time because it's really easy to stabilize in post, and I'd rather have a bigger frame that might be a little bit shaky that I can fix than a super zoomed in, over stabilized frame that I can never zoom out of again. So that is a really nice new welcome feature as well in all 3 of the models, Gen 1, Gen 2, and the Vanguards. Also, I just want to point out, if you're wondering what glasses these are the Inmo Air 3s. I'm actually looking at the bullet points for this video in my Google Docs document. It's making filming these videos way easier, so that's why I'm wearing these instead of the Metas. And by the way, I'm gonna put links for all 4 of these products in the description, all the Meta glasses and these glasses as well if you want to check them out. Up next is the feature we did not think they would ever add to any Ray-Ban models, but they did with this update, and that is the added integration of 3 separate applications, one of which happens to be linked with a variety of hardware devices, and that is Apple Health, Strava, and Garmin. So they They previously advertised this only for the Oakley Vanguards in Meta Connect, but with this update and updating all three of my pairs of glasses, I noticed they have it on everything. Not only the Vanguards, but also the Gen 2s and the Gen 1s. So if you tap on your glasses, I'll tap on the Gen 1s, and then you tap on app connections, you'll see 3 new apps here. So in addition to all the other apps we had before, we now have Apple Health, we now have Garmin, and we now have Strava at the bottom there. So what does this mean exactly? If you've seen any of the footage from Meta Connect about the Vanguards, you can ask different questions from your Garmin device about your speed, your pacing, your heart rate, things like that. And the Garmin watch connects to the app on your phone so that you can just ask Meta, and Meta will tell you what any of those things are at whatever moment you are, whether you're running a marathon or just, going on a casual jog. So that's the Garmin integration. You see, if I tap on it, this is exactly what it says. Get real-time stats and open ear audio, auto capture, which we'll talk about in a minute, ask Meta AI about past workouts, like how far did I run last week, which is really cool if you're trying to improve, your distance, and share your wins by adding Garmin stats to photos and videos. Up next is Strava. Now this is that really cool overlay pictured here, but also from that Meta Connect event. So you can actually choose whether or not to have the background behind those stats, and you have a bunch of different stats to choose from, and you can just select like 4 of them, the most important ones to you, so that when you share them to your story or send them to a friend, they can see those stats too, which is really, really cool. So Facebook, Instagram stories, or directly to the Strava app. Super nice. Again, this is available on all of the glasses. So you can get this on the Ray-Bans too, Gen 1 or Gen 2, which is really nice. Next is Apple Health, which I personally love the most because I got a Garmin watch just to test the Vanguards, but I previously had an Apple Watch, and I use Apple Health way more than Strava because Strava costs money per month. I think it's like $7 a month or something, and Apple Health is free. And then you get all those stats if you have an Apple Watch also for free. So I'm gonna connect that now because I haven't done it yet. This is on the Gen 1s again. So I'm gonna tap on my device, the Gen 1s, then on app connections, and then on Apple Health. Here you see you can add Health Connect stats to photos and videos from your gallery. So the exact same thing that Garmin and Strava were doing, you can do through Apple Health, which is really, really amazing. It's a really nice free way to do it, especially for all of us with iPhones. You can also share to Facebook, Instagram stories, or directly to your contacts, which is really nice. And you can also ask Meta about how far you ran last week through Apple Health if you happen to have an Apple Watch instead of a Garmin device. Now this takes away the feeling that if you're a sports person, you have to get the Vanguards, because now you can get away with basically all the same features with just the Ray-Bans. Really, really cool features in this update so far, but there's more, so keep watching. But first, if you're super frustrated with your bank, like I've been for many years, there's a limited time offer that you can get up to $325 if you just make an online checking account with SoFi, and I think deposit $50 or something like that. There's a bunch of other challenges to get it all the way up to that $325. I think the bonuses start at $25, but all you do is just make a checking account or a savings account. I love this because I can get like 4.25% interest per year on money in my savings account, and then I can pay all my bills through the savings account. Like it doesn't have a limit about how many times I can pay bills with it per month. All my money goes there. I earn interest on top of it, and I pay all my bills through that, including my credit card bills and everything else. And I've never had annoying customer service problems with SoFi, or just bank problems with them like blocking transactions that are you and that you've already called the bank and told. Everything just works. And since I've switched to SoFi like less than a year ago now, I haven't had a single problem, and my money has been earning more money than it would in Bank of America or Wells Fargo, which is where I had bank accounts before. And I'm just done with those, to be honest, at least for checking and savings accounts. But yeah, if you want to check it out, it's in the description. You can get free money. It's really easy to sign up. So just to give you an idea about how good Apple Health is, this is me setting it up, connecting the app to Meta, and look at all these different stats that you can get from Apple Health. Like literally, it just keeps going. I'm scrolling so long to get to the end of this. That is so many stats. The next huge update for all 3 models, the Vanguards and the Gen 1s and Gen 2s, this is auto capture. This is a really cool feature that allows you to capture photos and videos automatically during a workout. So you can just turn this on, and then whenever you're doing your workouts, it'll automatically create footage for you, group it together. It gives you a little AI summary of the workout too, which is really nice. Super, super cool. You do have to have a Garmin device to do this, but it is a really, really cool feature. Again, it is here on the Gen 1s as well. So all you have to do is go to your glasses. I'll tap on the Gen 1s, tap on media, and then you'll see auto capture at the top. Now you have to tap get started if you're not already connected with Garmin, and my watch hasn't arrived yet, which is why I'm not yet. But once it's there, boom, you have auto capture. The next huge feature they added for this update is super slow-mo 120 FPS at 720p and hyperlapse mode, which is like a time lapse but moving. So it's really fast motion, really great if you're doing like a long bike ride or car ride or like a long walk around a new city. You get this really cool moving time lapse, which is why it's called a hyperlapse of what you did. So both of those are really cool features. Now this is where it gets a little complicated because this is 100% added, both of those, for the Oakley Vanguard glasses. All you do is say, hey Meta, start hyperlapse, or hey Meta, start slow motion. And it worked perfectly on the Vanguard Vanguards. The weird thing is, if you give those same commands to the Gen 2s and the Gen 1s after this update, they will also start recording. But I noticed when you import them to your phone, they don't actually process and switch over to the hyperlapse version or the slow motion version. They just record like a normal video. The reason this is confusing is because on Meta's website for the Gen 2s and even the old Gen 1s, it lists 720p 120 FPS as one of the specs. And these were here before this update too, by the way, which indicates that they're adding these to both these glasses, but it seems like this update just didn't make them work to the Gen 2s and even the Gen 1s based on what their website says. But as of right now, it only works on the Vanguards. So that's kind of a weird one, but pretty cool. It looks really smooth, although it is a tiny bit blurry because it's 720p instead of 1080p, but still a really cool feature. The next big update, and they actually did put this in the release notes for this 19.2 update, is Quick Connect. And then they had the forum on there last time. They just kind of repeated what they said for 19.1. Now, if you've noticed in my last video, they did add Quick Connect, but it didn't work, and it didn't work for a bunch of people commenting as well. But now it works perfectly. I don't know if this update fixed it or if it just got fixed sometime along the way. But Quick Connect allows you to do a physical action against your glasses, and then it will quickly do what you have preset as far as options for this. You can have it text someone, and it'll just ask you what you want to say, call someone from your contacts, or share the most recent picture or video from your gallery from your glasses. Now, when you activate Quick Connect, it allows you to press it again if you want to cancel it. So you do have to like kind of wait. And even though it says with one tap, this actually isn't true on the Gen 2s and Gen 1s or even the Vanguards. It's not a tap, it's a hold. So with the Gen 2s and Gen 1s, you can set it to be the tap and hold on the side, which will replace things like shuffle Spotify based on recommendations or activate Meta AI if you haven't set to that. So it'll be replaced by the Quick Connect action that you set. Besides those Quick Connect actions, you can also have it read some of your different stats from Garmin if you happen to have one of those connected. So you can set it to those as well if you have a Garmin device. But that is what it does on the Gen 1s and Gen 2s. On the Oakley Vanguards, there is a new custom action button. So that is what this Quick Connect will be triggered to. And this is really nice because then you can still have Meta AI activate from the tap and hold or the Spotify shuffle based on your recommendations on the tap and hold as well. And then still have that Quick Connect button as a separate third button. To actually set the Quick Connect action, you're going to tap on your glasses. So I'll tap on the Gen 1s. Then you're going to scroll down and tap on Customize Controls. Then you're going to tap on Touchpad. And then you will see Quick Connect there as the third one. Obviously, your device has to be on in order to start this. But as you can see, I set it to send message to one of my friends. Works great. I've already tested it on all of them and it works now. So it's really nice. Now there's one last feature out of everything that was shown in MetaConnect that still has not been added, and that is conversation focus for any of those models of glasses. Obviously, it's just supposed to be on the Ray-Ban Meta Gen 2s and Gen 1s, but no mention of it on Vanguards. I've tested it, I've asked it to do it a bunch of times. It just doesn't do it. It doesn't exist yet. They haven't added this as an update yet. So we're probably gonna get it sometime in November. What do you think about this 19.2 update? Did it add anything that I forgot about? Did it introduce any new bugs for you? Go ahead and write them down there in case Meta sees this video. Let me know your thoughts about this update, what you want to see in the future updates. Thank you so much for watching. Until next time.